Hey, welcome back. Today I'm breaking down the new Etsy updated creativity standards, aka the rules that decide what you can and what you cannot sell on Etsy in 2025. So if you're an Etsy seller or thinking about opening a shop, this video is kinda essential. These new rules are stricter than ever, and if your listing don't follow them, it might get your listings removed, or even worse, face a suspension of the whole shop. So if you stick with me for a couple of minutes, I will cover all four types of products that you can sell on Etsy, explain each one with examples, and maybe I'll even answer one of your real life examples with this one. So let's dive in. Etsy is on a whole mission of keeping commerce human. What does that mean? That means that I want to support real human people creating and selling their crafted goods. So every single listing that is being published on Etsy has to fall in one of four categories: made by seller, designed by seller, handpicked by seller, or sourced by the seller. If it doesn't clearly fall into one of those categories, it risks being removed. So these categories are Etsy's ways of protecting marketplace and making sure buyers are getting something special, something creative, and something with a human touch. So let's start with made by a seller. This one is for physical products, either created by you or using some machines. This could be a sewing machine, a 3D printer, or a Cricut machine, a laser cutter, basically anything that helps you create something tangible. But here's the catch. You have to design it yourself. Etsy doesn't allow reselling the product, so basically buying another seller's design and plopping it into your own. That would actually fall more into a service category and not so much about the handcrafted goods. So if you're throwing pottery, making your own jewelry, or printing designs that you created, that's totally fine. If you're creating vinyl designs using your Cricut machine and you created those designs, that's totally fine too. The problem arises when you actually buy the designs and make vinyl cutouts using the designs that you bought. What also doesn't count is building stuff. For example, building a Lego set and reselling that is not allowed anymore as well, because it's not considered handmade. So in essence, if you buy a digital file, download it, and use your machine to produce it, that doesn't count anymore. Even if you did all the cutting and pressing, it's not considered handmade, and it is not considered as that you were the one designing it, so it doesn't count. Etsy also explains that using superficial changes, like adding a sticker to a store-bought mug, is not enough. Etsy wants to see meaningful creations, not just decoration. So let's check our next category, which is designed by a seller. This category falls for all digital products or design that you've created, or whatever they are, downloadable files, or the item that a production partner prints with for you. So if you're making things like printable wall art or wedding invitations, coloring pages, you're good to go as long as the content is yours. You can also sell items like t-shirts, mugs, tote bags that are printed through a partner, so essentially print on demand. But again, the design has to be your own original work. So that does not limit print-on-demand sellers on Etsy. But Etsy does have an AI clause in it. Etsy does allow you to use AI-generated items based on the prompts that you wrote. So you can use AI like Midjourney, DALL-E, or ChatGPT, or anything else, really. You can sell it, but Etsy does require you to be transparent about it and mention it in your listing. This one, the usage of AI, does really bring up a lot of heated debate on it, but we will skip this for this video for now. So what doesn't qualify in this category is prompt bundles, templates you didn't design, clip art that someone else made, or PDFs or some kind of bundles that you just copied or bought and are trying to resell it on the Etsy platform. So Etsy really wants to see originality and creative effort, not mass reproduction of someone else's work. So let's move on to the next category, which is handpicked by a seller. This one includes vintage items that are at least 20 years old, natural items that you either found or cultivated, and themed gift baskets that you personally curated. So if you're selling an old typewriter from, 1960, or a fossil you found on a hike, or a gift box for new pet owners, all the things that you've collected yourself, then that's a great fit for this category. But you cannot list a product that you consider vintage, but it's not at least 20 years old. And you cannot just bundle bulk items and call it a gift box without no theme. Etsy really wants to see curation with intention. A mystery box with random items or a basket filled with products all from the same store doesn't meet the standard. Neither does buying a bunch of seashells from the craft store and relisting it on Etsy for it to sell. It has to be something you picked or found yourself, not just reselling. The main idea here is that your creative touch comes from how you selected and combined the items. And then we have our fourth category, which is sourced by the seller. This one is for all the sellers that provide materials for users to be creative. If that's craft supplies, party supplies, or even custom printed items that users can then personalize using their own text or image. Let's say that you sell paint kits, or that you sell candle making supplies, or unfinished wood shape. Those are great examples. You are essentially providing the tools that let other people be creative. You can also sell party banners, balloon kits, or personalized mugs that are printed on demand, as long as the customer is involved in the process and customization. But there are limits. Etsy doesn't actually allow you to sell blanks, for example, blank t-shirts, tote bag, unless they're specifically intended for further customization and crafting. So reselling generic office supplies, kitchenware, or home decor is not allowed anymore. If something is already ready to use out of the box without customization or any creativity involved, it doesn't qualify. So if your item isn't creative or customizable, Etsy wouldn't allow it to fall into this category. So how do I actually make sure that your listings are safe? Start by asking yourself one question. Did I create, design, curate, or customize this in a meaningful way? If the answer is yes, you're probably on the right track. If the answer is no, or you're a bit hesitant, you may want to rethink the product. Also, it's very important that you are very honest in your listings. This should be a given without new Etsy guidelines coming through. Use your own photos whenever possible, show finished examples instead of mock-ups, and disclose anything that is made with AI or a production partner. Etsy really wants transparency, and the more upfront you are, the less likely you are run into problems, and also customers do love that as they know what they're getting. At the end of the day, Etsy really was and is trying to be a place for original and thoughtful product. If you focus on creativity and honesty, you'll not only stay compliant, but you'll thrive. So hopefully I covered everything in a condensed way for you to understand what's actually happening with those creative guidelines. I hope you found this helpful, and let me know what kind of products you sell and if you think you're gonna have any problems with the new Etsy updated creative standards. So thank you for watching this short summary of the Etsy guidelines, and I hope I'll see you in another video. And until then, stay curious.